In a quiet African village, a strange child was born, a child who could hear whispers no one else could. The people feared her, the animals obeyed her, and soon, something darker began to follow her steps. What secret was she hiding? And why were the forests and rivers calling her name? Stay with me, because once you hear her story, you'll never forget it. If you are just seeing my channel for the first time, please subscribe to get more interesting stories. The night Adia was born, the sky over Umuika village was restless. Clouds gathered like angry spirits, and the wind howled through the tall palm trees. Women whispered that it was not an ordinary night. Some said they saw owls circling above the compound, their yellow eyes glowing like fire. Others swore they heard the cry of a leopard echoing from the forest, though leopards had not been seen near the village for many years. Inside the mud hut, her mother, Ngozi, lay sweating on the raffia mat, gripping the hand of the old midwife. Her cries mixed with the rumble of thunder. Then, at last, a baby's voice broke through the storm. But it was not a normal cry. It rose high and sharp, then dipped low, like a strange song. The midwife froze, and her hands shook. Ngozi pulled the baby close, her heart full of joy. She did not hear the whispers outside. She did not see how the villagers peered through the doorway with wide eyes. All she saw was her daughter's tiny face, soft and brown, her eyes round and searching, as if she could see into places no one else could. The baby was named Adia, which meant gift. But before she was even 3 years old, people began to say her gift was a curse. It started one morning when Ngozi found Adia in the backyard, laughing and clapping her hands. A hen and her chicks surrounded the little girl, not pecking the ground but gathered close, chirping and clucking in a way that sounded almost like speech. Adia answered them in a sweet baby voice, her words making no sense to Ngozi, but the hen bobbed her head as if she understood. When Ngozi tried to chase the birds away, they refused to scatter. Instead, they moved closer to the girl as though guarding her. Word spread quickly. Soon, stories grew like wild vines. Adia could hear animals speak. She could reply, and they obeyed her. To her mother, this was a wonder. To her father, Obi, it was something to hide. To the villagers, it was something to fear. By the time Adia was 7, children refused to play with her. Mothers pulled their sons and daughters away when she walked near. Men muttered that she was a spirit child, sent to bring bad luck. One old woman even spat on the ground when Adia passed, hissing, "She is not one of us." Adia did not understand why everyone looked at her that way. She only knew that when she sat alone under the Yadala tree, the birds came to sing for her, the goats bleated secrets into her ears, and even the shy lizards blinked as if they wanted to share their stories. She was never truly alone, but still, her heart ached for the warmth of a human friend. Her only comfort was her mother's arms. Ngozi would stroke her hair and whisper, "Do not fear, my daughter. Your gift will one day shine like the sun. What others fear today, they will need tomorrow." But even as she said it, worry clouded her eyes. She knew the world was not kind to children who were different. One evening, something happened that would change everything. The village hunters had set traps near the river. At dawn, they returned, their faces pale. The traps were empty, but the ropes were torn as if by strong teeth. Worse still, huge paw prints were pressed into the wet earth. The marks of a leopard. A real one this time. Fear gripped the village. Children were kept indoors. Men sharpened spears. Drums were beaten at night to scare the beast away. But still, goats and chickens began to vanish, their bones found near the edge of the forest. The elders gathered in the square, their voices heavy with anger. "This is not ordinary," said one. "A leopard does not come so close to humans unless sent by dark forces." Another nodded. "Since that child was born, strange things have happened. Her cries that night, the birds that flock to her, the animals that obey. Is it not clear? The leopard is her spirit brother." Ngozi clutched Adia's hand and pulled her close, her body shaking. "She is just a girl," she begged. "She has done no harm." But the murmurs grew louder. The people were afraid, and fear is sharper than a spear. That night, as Adia lay awake on her mat, she heard a voice outside. A deep, rumbling voice. She crept out quietly, her bare feet silent on the ground. There, at the edge of the forest, stood a leopard, its golden eyes glowing in the moonlight. Her heart pounded, but strangely, she felt no fear. The leopard's gaze was steady, and then, to her shock, it spoke. "Child," it said in a low, growling tone only she could hear, "they will turn against you. But you are not alone. The forest watches. The river listens. You belong to more than this village." Adia's breath caught. She wanted to run, yet her legs felt rooted. The leopard's tail swished, its muscles rippling like shadows. "One day, you will have to choose," it continued. "To hide your gift, or to use it. But know this, when the drums of danger sound, only you can hear the truth." Before she could reply, the leopard slipped into the darkness, leaving her trembling under the moon. The next morning, the news spread that another goat had been taken. This time, the villagers were furious. Their fear turned into rage, and their rage turned toward Adia. Fingers pointed, voices shouted, and the square filled with accusations. Her mother shielded her, but Obi stood frozen, torn between his daughter and the angry faces of his people. Then the eldest elder, a bent man with eyes like cracked stones, raised his staff. "If this child is not the cause," he declared, "let her prove it. Let her go into the forest and face the leopard. If the beast spares her, then we will know she is truly what she claims, a gift. If not, then the spirits have judged." Gasps filled the air. Ngozi fell to her knees, begging. But the crowd only roared louder. The trial was set. Adia, a girl of only 7, would be sent to meet the leopard. That night, Adia could not sleep. Her mother wept silently beside her. Her father paced outside the hut, his shadow long against the firelight. Adia pressed her hands to her chest, whispering to herself. "The animals are my friends. They will not hurt me. They cannot." But deep inside, she was not sure. The morning of the trial arrived with heavy silence. No roosters crowed, no goats bleated, and even the leaves of the palm trees seemed still. The villagers gathered in the square, their faces hard, their voices low. Some came out of curiosity, some from fear, but many came with anger burning in their eyes. They wanted to see if Adia was truly human or something else. Ngozi held her daughter tightly, refusing to let go. "She is just a child," she cried, her voice breaking. But strong hands pulled Adia from her arms. Obi stepped forward, his face pale, his fists clenched. He wanted to speak, but when he met the accusing eyes of the crowd, his voice failed him. For the first time, Adia saw fear not for her, but of her, in her father's eyes. The elders stood at the front, their staff of office planted firmly in the ground. The eldest elder lifted his hand, and silence spread. "This child," he said, his voice carrying across the square, "is either our salvation or our doom. The spirits will show us the truth today. She will go into the forest alone. If the leopard spares her, then she is blessed. If it does not, then the spirits have judged." A murmur ran through the crowd. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Men muttered and spat on the ground. Adia's legs trembled, but her heart beat steady. Deep inside, she remembered the leopard's glowing eyes, the voice that had spoken to her. She could not tell if it had been a dream or real, but she clung to it like a thread of hope. The drummers began to beat slowly, their rhythm heavy and deep. Adia was led through the village, past the mud huts, past the farms, toward the wall of trees that marked the forest's edge. Every step felt like a step away from the world she knew and into the jaws of the unknown. At the edge, the men stopped. One shoved a small calabash of water into her hands. Another gave her a short stick, more for show than for defense. Then they turned back, leaving her to the forest. Adia stood there for a long moment, the shadows of the trees stretching toward her like fingers. She wanted to run back to her mother, to hide in her arms, but she knew it was useless. The whole village was watching. She stepped forward. The forest swallowed her. The air grew cooler, heavy with the smell of damp earth and leaves. Strange calls echoed from the trees, birds, monkeys, insects, all speaking in a chorus that only she could understand. "Child, why do you walk alone?" a parrot screeched. "Danger, danger, danger," buzzed the crickets. A bush rat popped its head from a hole and whispered, "The leopard is near." Adia's throat tightened, but she whispered back, "Where is it? Show me." The animals rustled in the undergrowth, guiding her deeper. Her bare feet slipped on roots, her hands brushed rough bark, but she did not stop. She followed their voices until the trees opened into a small clearing. There, lying in the grass like a shadow come alive, was the leopard. Its golden eyes fixed on her. Its chest rose and fell slowly. It did not growl, did not move to attack. It simply watched her. Adia's heart hammered, but her feet carried her forward as if something unseen pushed her. The stick trembled in her hands. She dropped it. "Child," the leopard said, its voice a low rumble, "you have come." Adia's lips trembled, but she answered, "They made me. They say you will kill me." The leopard's whiskers twitched, almost like a smile. "If I wished to kill you, I would have done so long ago. But you are not like the others. You hear us. You understand. You are bound to us." "Bound?" Adia asked, her voice small. "Yes," the leopard said, rising slowly to its feet. Its body was sleek and powerful, every muscle rippling with strength. "The forest chose you before you were born. The animals are your brothers, your sisters. You belong to us as much as to them. But they do not see it. They fear what they cannot understand." Tears filled Adia's eyes. "They hate me," she whispered. "I did nothing." The leopard stepped closer. Its breath was warm on her face. "Great gifts are always feared. But listen, child, danger is coming, not just for you, but for all of them. The forest knows. The river knows. When the time comes, your gift will be the only shield." Adia's hands shook. "What danger?" The leopard's ears twitched. It looked toward the deeper forest, where the shadows grew thicker. "The hunters of men are moving. The earth trembles with their steps. The drums of war will soon sound, and your people will not survive without you." Before Adia could ask more, the leopard turned, melting back into the trees. "Go back," it growled softly. "They are waiting. Show them you are alive." Adia stood frozen, her heart racing, until the forest sounds rose again. Birds, insects, the whisper of leaves. Slowly, she walked back. The animals guided her, their voices soft in her ears. At the edge of the forest, the villagers gasped. She stepped out, her clothes dusty, her face pale but unharmed. "She lives," someone cried. The crowd erupted in shouts. Some wailed that she was a witch. Others whispered that perhaps she was truly chosen. Ngozi ran to her, holding her tightly, sobbing into her hair. But the elders' faces were hard. The eldest elder raised his staff again. "The leopard has spared her. But do not be deceived. This does not mean she is harmless. It means the spirits have plans for her." That night, Adia lay awake again, her mother asleep beside her. She thought of the leopard's words, of the danger that was coming. She wanted to tell her parents, to warn the village, but she knew they would not believe her. Instead, she whispered to the darkness, "What am I supposed to do?" A voice answered, soft and low, from the window. "Wait, child. The time will come." She looked up. A small owl sat on the ledge, its eyes glowing like tiny moons. It flapped its wings once, then flew off into the night. From that night on, Adia began to hear more than just the voices of animals. She began to hear the forest itself. The trees groaned with secrets. The river hummed with warnings. And deep beneath it all, a rumble, slow and heavy, like distant thunder moving closer each day. The danger was real. And soon, it would arrive. The first sign came a week later. Men from a neighboring village staggered into a mueka, their clothes torn, their faces cut and bruised. They collapsed in the square, gasping for water. When they finally spoke, their voices trembled with fear. They came, men with iron weapons, faces painted like death. They took our goats, our yams, even our children. They set fire to our huts. They are coming this way. The village exploded with fear. Women wailed. Men shouted. Some grabbed spears, others argued about fleeing. The elders called for calm, but their own hands shook on their staffs. Obi turned to his family, his face pale. We must prepare. That night, as the villagers argued in the square, Adia sat alone under the Udala tree. Her hands shook, her heart pounded. She whispered to the ground, "What do I do? What can I do?" And the earth answered, faint but clear. Use the gift. The gift is the shield. Suddenly, a rustle came from the bushes. A figure stepped out, a boy, about her age, with sharp eyes and quick movements. Adia had seen him before, always watching her from a distance. His name was Chaik, the son of a hunter. No one dared play with her, but sometimes she caught him staring as if he wanted to. Now, he stood before her, shifting nervously. I saw you, he whispered. I saw you in the forest. You talked to the leopard. Adia's heart stopped. You followed me? He nodded. My father sent me to watch, to see if you died. But you didn't. I heard nothing, only silence, but I saw you standing there, and the leopard bowed its head. Why? Why didn't it kill you? Adia's lips trembled. She wanted to deny it, but she saw the curiosity in his eyes, not fear. For the first time, someone wasn't recoiling from her. Carefully, she said, because it's my friend. Chaik's eyes widened, but he didn't laugh. He stepped closer. Then maybe you can help us. If the raiders come, maybe the animals can fight for us. Adia blinked, the thought striking her like lightning. Could it be true? Could she use her gift not just to listen, but to protect? The owl's words echoed in her mind, wait, child. The time will come. Was this the time? But even as the thought grew, so did the danger. Because someone else was listening that night. From the shadows, the eldest elder stood, his eyes sharp as knives. He had heard every word. And in his heart, he whispered, the girl must never rise. The next morning, the village was restless. Smoke from cooking fires curled into the sky, but the air was thick with fear. Men argued about whether to fight or flee. Women clutched their children and packed baskets with food, ready to run if the raiders appeared. Everywhere Adia walked, eyes followed her. Some were filled with suspicion, others with anger, but now and then she caught a flicker of something else, hope. The eldest elder called for another meeting in the square. His staff struck the ground 3 times, silencing the crowd. The raiders are coming, he said in his sharp, gravelly voice. They burn villages, steal children, and leave nothing behind. We must prepare to defend ourselves. Murmurs rose. Our spears are too few, one man said. Our shields are weak. Another added, their weapons shine like fire. How can we fight them? The elder's eyes narrowed. We will fight with what we have. But there is another matter. The girl. His staff pointed straight at Adia, who stood at the back with her mother. She claims to speak to animals. If it is true, then let her prove it. Let her call the beasts of the forest to fight for us. A hush fell. Ngozi's arms tightened around her daughter. She is only a child, she cried. The elder's gaze was cold. Child or not, the time has come. If she fails, then we will know the truth. And if she succeeds, he paused, his eyes glinting with something unspoken. Then perhaps her gift is useful after all. Adia's stomach twisted. All eyes were on her. She wanted to run, to hide, but Chaik's voice echoed in her memory, maybe the animals can fight for us. She lifted her chin, though her knees trembled. I will try. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some villagers cheered, desperate for hope. Others muttered that it was madness. But the elder only nodded, his thin lips curling into a smile that made Adia's skin crawl. That night, under the Udala tree, Adia and Chike met again. The moonlight spilled through the branches, painting their faces silver. Are you afraid? Chike asked quietly. Adia nodded. What if they don't listen to me? What if the animals refuse? Chike plucked at the dirt with a stick. I don't know. But I think they will. I've seen you with the goats, the birds. Even the leopard. If they follow you, maybe the others will too. And if they don't, he swallowed. Then at least you tried. Adia looked at him closely. Why do you believe me? Everyone else fears me. Chike shrugged, his sharp eyes softening. Because I think your gift is not a curse. It's power. And power can save us. For the first time, Adia smiled faintly. But it faded quickly when she thought of the elder's eyes. She did not trust him. Something in his gaze held not hope, but danger. The next day, Adia walked into the forest alone. Her heart pounded as she reached the clearing where she had first met the leopard. She knelt in the grass and whispered, "Please. I need your help. The raiders are coming. My people will die if the animals do not fight." For a moment, there was only silence. Then, slowly, the forest answered. A flock of birds swooped down, circling her head. Monkeys leapt from tree to tree, chattering. A family of antelopes stepped carefully from the shadows, their eyes bright. Even snakes slithered near, their tongues flickering. Adia's breath caught. They had come. Then, from the trees, the leopard appeared, its golden coat glowing in the sun. It sat before her, tail swishing. You call, and we answer, it said. But the forest does not fight for men. Why should we spill our blood for those who fear you? Adia's throat tightened. Because they are my people, she whispered. They hate me, yes. They fear me. But they are still mine. If they fall, then I fall too. And if you help them, maybe one day they will see that you are not their enemy. The leopard studied her with unblinking eyes. Then it bowed its head. Very well. We will fight. But child, understand this, the forest does not kill without cost. Blood will be spilled. And once the bond is made, there is no turning back. Adia swallowed hard, but she nodded. I accept. A strange shiver passed through the air, like the forest itself exhaling. The animals raised their voices in a chorus, a sound that rattled the trees and sent flocks of birds fleeing. Adia felt it deep in her bones. The bond was sealed. When she returned to the village, the people gasped at the sight of monkeys swinging from branches, antelope trailing her steps, and birds circling overhead. For the first time, awe filled their faces instead of fear. But not everyone was pleased. The eldest elder's eyes gleamed with something dark. So it is true, he murmured. The girl commands them. In his heart, envy flared. Power like hers could make him the most feared man in the land. And so he began to plot. The raiders came 3 nights later. Their arrival was like a storm. Drums thundered from the forest, and then men poured out, their faces painted in red and black, their bodies gleaming with oil. They carried iron-tipped spears and shields that flashed in the firelight. Their leader rode at the front on a horse, something few in Amuika had ever seen. His voice boomed like thunder. Take everything. Leave nothing standing. The villagers screamed. Spears clashed, shields raised. But the raiders were too strong. They swept through the huts like fire, scattering people before them. Children wailed. Men fell. Women fled into the night. Then Adia stepped forward. Her heart hammered, but she raised her arms high. Now, she cried. The forest answered. Birds dived from the sky, pecking and clawing at the raiders' eyes. Monkeys swung down, throwing branches and stones. Snakes slithered through the grass, striking at legs. Antelope charged, their sharp horns goring through the enemy line. And then, with a roar that shook the earth, the leopard leapt from the shadows, its golden body striking like lightning. The raiders stumbled, caught off guard. Their leader cursed, swinging his spear at the leopard, but the beast dodged, its claws ripping through his shield. The villagers, emboldened, shouted and fought harder. For the first time, hope flared in their hearts. Adia stood in the middle of it all, her voice rising above the chaos. "Fight! Drive them back," she cried. And the animals obeyed, their fury uniting with the people's desperation. But in the midst of the battle, Adia saw something that froze her blood. The eldest elder stood at the edge of the square, not fighting, not fleeing, but watching. His eyes were not afraid. They were hungry. And when the raiders began to retreat, driven by claws and horns, he slipped into the shadows, his staff clutched tight. By dawn, the battle was over. The raiders had fled, leaving behind broken spears and bodies. The villagers wept with relief. They lifted Adia high, shouting her name, calling her savior. For the first time, she felt the warmth of belonging. But deep in her heart, unease gnawed at her. The leopard's words echoed, "The forest does not kill without cost." And she knew the true danger was not gone. It had only begun. The village was alive with celebration. Drums pounded, women danced, and children sang songs of Adia, the girl who called the forest. For the first time, the people embraced her. They touched her hands, braided her hair, and called her our savior. Even Obi, her father, lifted her high on his shoulders, his voice thick with pride. Ngozi's tears flowed freely, this time from joy instead of fear. But Adia did not smile as brightly as the others. Deep in her chest, the leopard's warning rumbled like distant thunder. The forest does not kill without cost. She remembered how the animals had thrown themselves against sharp spears, how their blood had mixed with the blood of men. She remembered the way some antelope never rose again, how birds had fallen from the sky, how even snakes lay coiled in death. The people celebrated, but she knew the price had already begun. And someone else knew it too. The eldest elder sat alone in his hut, away from the noise of the celebration. His wrinkled fingers traced the carvings on his staff, his eyes glittering with hunger. "The girl commands the animals," he whispered to himself. "The leopard bows to her. With such power, who needs spirits? Who needs gods? If I hold her gift, I will rule not only Umuaka, but all the villages of the land." He leaned closer to the fire, his shadow stretching across the wall. But gifts can be taken. And the child can be broken. The next few days were quiet. The villagers rebuilt their huts, buried their dead, and gave thanks for their survival. Adia walked among them, her heart heavy with sorrow for the animals that had died. She left food at the edge of the forest, whispering apologies into the trees. The leopard appeared once, its golden eyes watching her from a distance. "Do not grieve," it said. "The bond is sealed. But remember, child, the forest gives, and the forest takes." One evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Chike ran to her side, his face pale. "Adia! Come quickly." He pulled her through the paths until they reached the edge of the forest. There, lying in the grass, was a young antelope. Its body shook, and its breathing was ragged. Blood matted its fur. Adia knelt beside it, tears spilling down her cheeks. "What happened?" she whispered. The antelope's voice trembled in her mind. "I fought for you. Now I die for you. This is the cost." "No!" Adia cried, pressing her hands against its wound as if she could hold the life inside. "You can't die. You can't." But the animal's body grew still. Its eyes dulled. Adia's sobs filled the air. Chike touched her shoulder gently. "You saved us," he said softly. "But maybe the elder was right. Maybe your gift is too heavy for one person." Adia turned, her eyes blazing. "It is not too heavy. It is mine." Then her voice broke. But why does it hurt so much? That night, as Adia slept, shadows crept into her hut. Rough hands seized her, muffling her cries. She struggled, but a cloth was tied over her mouth, and her small body was lifted into the dark. When she opened her eyes, she was deep inside the elder's hut. The fire burned low, casting long, twisted shadows on the walls. The elder stood before her, his staff in hand, his eyes sharp as knives. "You are dangerous," he said coldly. "Your power should not belong to a child. It should belong to someone wise, someone strong. To me." Adia shook her head, her heart pounding. "You can't take it," she whispered. The elder's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Everything can be taken. The spirits showed me the way long ago, but I needed proof of your gift. Now I have it. You will give me your bond to the forest. And if you refuse," his eyes gleamed, "I will break you." He raised his staff, chanting words that made the air grow heavy. Adia felt her chest tighten, her breath faltering. The shadows on the walls twisted, reaching for her. She gasped, her body trembling, as if the forest itself were being ripped from her soul. "No," she cried. "It's mine." But the elder's chant grew louder. Her vision blurred, her ears rang, and for the first time, she felt the bond slipping. The voices of the animals grew faint, their cries distant. She reached out desperately, but they were fading. And then, through the haze, a roar split the air. The leopard burst into the hut, its golden body a flash of fury. It leapt, claws raking, knocking the elder back. The staff flew from his hand, clattering to the ground. The elder screamed, scrambling away as the leopard's teeth snapped inches from his face. Adia collapsed, gasping for breath, her bond flooding back into her chest. Tears streamed down her cheeks. The leopard stood over her, its body trembling with rage. "You dare," it growled at the elder. "You dare touch what belongs to the forest." The elder's face twisted with fear and hatred. "She is only a child. She cannot control such power." The leopard's eyes burned like fire. "Then she will learn." It turned, nudging Adia gently. "Rise, child. The forest is with you." Adia staggered to her feet, her body weak but her spirit burning. She picked up the elder's staff, its wood still warm with dark power. She held it out. "This is not yours," she said, her voice shaking but strong. "It will never be yours." The elder's eyes narrowed. "You cannot stop me. One day, I will take what is mine." He fled into the night, his shadow vanishing into the trees. Adia fell into the leopard's side, her tears soaking its fur. "He tried to steal it," she whispered. The leopard's tail swished. "And he will try again. Beware, child. The greatest danger is not always from enemies outside, but from those who stand beside you." Days passed, but the memory of that night haunted Adia. She told no one of the elder's attack, not even her parents. She feared they would not believe her. Only Chike noticed the change in her eyes, the way she jumped at shadows. One afternoon, as they sat beneath the Udala tree, Chike asked, "Why don't you tell them? If the elder is dangerous, they must know." Adia shook her head. "If I tell them, they will think I am lying. He is their elder, their guide. They will never believe me over him." Chike frowned. "Then what will you do?" Adia looked at the forest, its green depths swaying in the wind. "I will wait. And when he tries again, I will be ready." But her resolve was tested sooner than she thought. One evening, scouts returned with news: the raiders had not fled far. They had gathered with more men, more weapons, and they were coming back. This time, they would not be surprised. This time, they would destroy everything. The villagers trembled with fear. "We cannot fight them again," Obi said. "We barely survived the first time." The eldest elder stepped forward, his face calm, his voice smooth. "There is a way," he said. "The girl's power is strong, but it is uncontrolled. If we perform a ritual, if we bind her gift to the village, then she cannot fail us. She will fight not for herself, but for all of us." The people nodded eagerly. They wanted hope, any hope. But Adia's blood ran cold. She knew what the elder truly wanted. The ritual would not bind her gift to the village. It would bind it to him. And if she refused, she feared the people would turn against her again. The leopard's voice echoed in her memory, "You will have to choose, to hide your gift or to use it." The choice was here. And if she made the wrong one, everything would be lost. The night was heavy with silence. Only the soft rustle of palm leaves and the distant cry of a night bird could be heard. Alma lay on her mat, her heart beating fast. She had discovered the truth about herself, why the animals spoke to her, why the villagers feared her, why her life had never been like other children. She was the child of the forbidden prophecy. The old oracle had whispered to her earlier that day, when she had sneaked into the sacred grove, "You were chosen before you were born. The world of humans will not understand you, and the world of animals will always claim you. The one who can speak to both will bring either great peace or great destruction." Alma could not sleep. She remembered the words again and again, as if they had carved themselves into her heart. She wanted to be a normal girl, to laugh with the other children, to play in the open without stones being thrown at her. But now she knew it was impossible. Suddenly, the soft flap of wings echoed outside her hut. Alma sat up. An owl perched on the window hole, its eyes glowing like two tiny fires. It spoke in a voice that was neither male nor female. "The hunters are coming. They know what you are. If they catch you, the prophecy will die with you." Alma's chest tightened. "Why me?" she whispered. The owl blinked. "Because fear is stronger than love in the hearts of men." Before she could reply, shouts echoed in the distance. Torches burned like fiery snakes moving through the night. The hunters of the village were searching. Alma's mother ran inside. "Alma, we must leave now." Her face was wet with tears, but her hands were strong as they pulled Alma to her feet. "They say you will bring curses to the land. They want to take you to the river shrine and—" She stopped, her voice breaking. Alma understood. They wanted to kill her. She grabbed her small cloth bag, the only thing she owned, and followed her mother into the dark bush. The night swallowed them, but the hunters' cries grew louder. Suddenly, from the shadows, the animals came. First, the dogs that had always barked at her, but now they stood between her and the hunters, growling not at her, but at the men chasing her. Then the monkeys swung from the trees, throwing down sticks to slow the hunters. Birds circled above, screeching loud cries to confuse the men. Alma ran, tears in her eyes. "They are helping me," she whispered. "Yes," her mother panted, "because you belong to them." They reached the edge of the forest, where the river glowed under the moonlight. The waters whispered, calling her name. Alma froze. "Child of prophecy," the river murmured. "Your time has come. Choose, remain with humans who fear you, or step into my waters and rise with the gift you carry." Alma trembled. "Mama, what should I do?" Her mother's eyes filled with sorrow. "I cannot choose for you. You must decide, my daughter." The hunters broke through the trees, their spears raised high. Alma had only one heartbeat left to choose. And then the morning sun rose over the hills, painting the land gold. But the village of Odiyu had no peace. The hunters who had gone after Alma had returned, their faces pale, their torches extinguished, their mouths closed with fear. They refused to speak of what they had seen. The elders gathered in the square, demanding answers. Where is the cursed girl? Has the river swallowed her? But the hunters only shook their heads. Days passed, and strange things began to happen. The farms flourished more than ever. Goats gave birth to twins. Birds sang at dawn in a way that made people weep with joy. Yet, at the same time, strange shadows moved at night, and sometimes the villagers would hear voices in the forest calling their names. Then, one evening, as the people sat around their fires, a great roar split the sky. It was not thunder. It was not the cry of a lion. It was something greater, deeper, like the voice of the earth itself. Children screamed and hid under mats. Women clutched their babies. Men grabbed their spears. From the forest edge, Amma appeared. But she was not the same. Her eyes glowed faintly, like a river at moonlight. Around her, animals walked calmly, a leopard, a great eagle, a python, and even small creatures like squirrels and ants. They followed her as if she were their queen. The villagers gasped. Amma raised her hand, and silence fell. Even the crickets stopped their song. Her voice was calm but carried like a drumbeat. I am not your enemy. I am not your curse. I was born to bring balance between your world and theirs. But if you continue to hate me, you will lose more than you can imagine. An elder spat on the ground. You are a child of abomination. You belong to the forest, not here. The leopard growled, its eyes fixed on the man. But Amma touched its head, and it became silent. She looked back at the villagers, her heart breaking. I wished only to belong, she whispered. But perhaps I was never meant to. She turned, walking back into the forest. The animals followed her, vanishing into the night like shadows. From that day, the villagers lived in both fear and awe. They never spoke her name aloud, but in whispers, they called her the girl who spoke to animals. Some believed she would one day return to save them. Others believed she would return to destroy them. But deep inside the forest, Amma sat beside the river, her eyes wet with tears. I do not want to be a curse, she whispered. The river replied, its voice soft and endless. Then you must learn, child. The true gift is not speaking to animals. The true gift is deciding what you will become. And so her journey had only just begun.